upcoming election, all of these things, plus many more things, need to be done. I want to talk to you a little bit about something that isn't talked about a lot by politicians, and it's a new paradigm that I want to talk to you about, because as I watched this election, going into this election, I thought, what a great opportunity. What a wonderful opportunity where we've got the most liberal president that our country has ever seen, has destroyed this country and continuing to destroy this country. What a great opportunity we will be able to stand up and strike a very clear alternative from the humanism exhibited by Barack Obama to the God-oriented institution of the government reflected by people in this room. What a grand opportunity. Now, I'm a little disappointed that our candidates at all levels, to be honest with you, and I hope you, half the candidates left after they got introduced, the ones that stayed, I hope you'll take this constructive criticism. They're just talking about more of the same, just a little more conservative, to be honest with you. And I got to looking at that, and I thought, you know, what is this about? It's not about freedom. It's about truth. It's about, how many of you believe that truth is a man's opinion? That's the Barack Obama worldview. Or is God truth? And if God is truth, as it's applied to civil government, then God is responsible for the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. And he has laid out a civic and social foundation by which we can carry out his purposes. That's the way I look at politics. Now, I got to tell you, and I'll just give you from my own experience. When I went to Congress in 1985, I was the most self-serving, self-centered jerk you can imagine. And when I got there, within 2 months, I met this guy named Congressman Frank Wolf, who had a little ministry within the House. And his ministry was to save the families of the members of Congress. And he would come and knock on your door, and you couldn't refuse him because he was a senior member of Congress. And he'd make you sit down and watch a film from James Dobson called Where's Daddy? Well, everything bad that James Dobson talked about in that film was me. And he brought me back, Frank Wolf then, and I just broke down because it just so touched me. And so I went and I started going. He invited me to Bible study. Started going to what is called Christian MSC, which is an offshoot of Campus Crusade for Christ. It's a wonderful Bible study, and within 2 or 3 months I came back to Christ. And in that, going to Bible study, started hanging out with actual Christians again, and getting into the Word, I started growing. And as I grew and did my job and was trying to do the best job that I could, I met Bill Bright. He had a book called Red Sky in the Morning, which just set me on fire, because Bill Bright's mind, what this book is about, is the greatness of America and how it was created. America was created, how God created America, and he created America for his purpose, and the most important purpose was to spread the gospel. The reason, ladies and gentlemen, that we are, the fundamental reason that we are an affluent country is so that we will have the resources to spread the gospel around the world. Now, it's not about abortion, it's not about anything, all those issues are really important and we ought to deal with it, but the real reason is to spread the gospel. Then I ran into Chuck Colson and I read another book called How Now Shall We Live, which that set me on fire even more, because he definitively put together what this whole worldview thing, and what do you believe, and why do you believe it, and how does that apply to your everyday life. I even taught it in my church several times. Some of you in this room, I see, took that course. It's a wonderful course. And what the Faith and Freedom Coalition is proposing is important and can provide that kind of training to be involved in your civil government. But during this whole period of time, and in all of this, and after How Now Shall We Live, 2 Chronicles 7:14 just kept hitting me. And for those of you that don't know 2 Chronicles 7:14, it's when my people called by my name humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then from heaven I will forgive their sin and heal their land. I thought that's what we had to be doing. We had to be getting leadership around, focused on that, getting them together to humble ourselves. That's hard to do with politicians. Pray and seek the face of God, and most importantly, turn from our wicked ways. And I started teaching. I got with Chuck Colson, and we started teaching How Now Shall We Live by bringing in the great minds that he talks about in the book that are still alive to give lectures to members of the House. And so I was in leadership at the time, the Majority Whip, and so it was the Majority Whip's lectures. And to get the members into the room, we invited their wives or their spouses. And once the wives came, the members had to come. And we got, on a regular basis, anywhere from 40 to 50 members showing up to hear these lectures of these moral people, these philosophers, these wonderful people that understood what God was all about and what He meant to this country. And then we expanded. Every time we gave the lecture for the members, we invited, in a separate lecture, but the same, the staff of the House of Representatives. We'd have 400, 500, 600 staffers show up for these lectures. And I thought, this is going to get somewhere. We're going to really get somewhere. With all of that, including, I put together a solemn ceremony in the rotunda of the Capitol. I thought, 2 Chronicles 7:14, leaders needed to get together and get on our knees and pray. And we sealed off the rotunda, didn't tell any of the press about it. Nobody even knows about it to this day. And we had well over 100 members of the House and the Senate show up for 3 hours of just seeking the face of God and repenting of what we were doing. And I thought, that's going to save America. The leaders are doing the right things. Well, make a long story short, it still hadn't worked. And I couldn't understand why. I mean, we're out recruiting Christians. We're trying to get people involved. We're reaching out. Faith and Freedom Coalition is trying to get you involved. Reaching out, and saying, come out of your church, get into the real world, and let's fight this culture war together. But we're losing the culture war. I can't understand that. Then this August, a book was published by Norm Mason, who I've known for over 30 years. And I just, God, it's all in God's good time, I just wish he'd have published this about 10 years ago. Because this says it all, ladies and gentlemen. This is, in my opinion, and I'm not trivializing this at all, this is as important a book as Thomas Paine's Common Sense. Because this goes to the very core of what America is all about. It is what it states basically is we as Christians are mandated by God, assigned by God, the Great Commission, that is to spread the gospel. And in order to do that, God created 3 institutions, 3 God-ordained institutions: the family, the church, and the civil government. God ordained the civil government all throughout the Bible. And this book is scripturally based. I don't have enough time to go through all the scripture. But if you'll get the book and read it, you'll see it. It's right there. Throughout the Bible is civil government. And God's hand in creating the authorities by which we are to submit, and putting the leaders in place, and creating governments so that we can flourish as believers. That is, we have forgotten that. And I am convinced now that the reason that we have been losing this country over the last 60 to 70 years is because we, as Christians, have pushed the civil government part away. It's a three-legged stool, ladies and gentlemen. It's family, church, and civil government that allows us to accomplish God's purposes. And He gives us opportunities after opportunities. The Constitution of the United States is an opportunity. It is setting up an institution by which we can flourish as a family and we can flourish as a church and carry out God's purposes. And until we realize that, until we convince pastors in this country of that, we are not going much further than where we are today. Because what Norman is calling for is the Great Commission citizen and a Great Commission citizen corps. And what he's saying is, go to your pastor and give him this copy of this book, and don't just give it to him. And Gary, I don't know where you are, but I'm going to call you in about a week, and you better have read this book because I want to discuss it with you.
I've already started.
Don't just give it to the pastor. Make sure he reads it, because it is our responsibility, ladies and gentlemen, to be in civil government. It's not our avocation. It's not our hobby. It's not our duty as Americans. It is our responsibility. Now, God did not say, I'm going to create family and you can drop your Christian values in raising your family. He didn't say, I'm going to create the church and then you can go to church on Sunday and then forget about it for the rest of the week. He didn't say, I'm going to create this civil government so that family and church can flourish, and you drop, as Gary was talking about, you drop your morals at the door, or you have separation of church and state. No, ladies and gentlemen, we carry that with us. And we want to convince pastors to create a ministry in your church that is called Great, you can call it whatever you want. Norman calls it Great Commission Citizen. A ministry, just like your youth ministry, just like your senior ministry, just like your missions ministry, just like any ministry within the church, it is as important as family and church as a God-ordained institution. Ladies and gentlemen, if that is the only way that we're going to turn around what's going on in the future of this country. Now, all this other stuff is important, and right now it's all we got to be able to advance our point of view and our world view and where we head to the future. But over the long term, I hope you'll turn inward and read this book and understand that God is giving us an opportunity to turn this around again. And we've got to grasp that opportunity, stand up for Him, and work for His purposes through civil government, church, and family. Thank you very much.